Hey, welcome back to the Leader Roots podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Smallwood. Hey, today I want to talk about something that I believe is holding a lot of good people back. And that's this idea that we have to wait for someone else's permission. Permission to lead, permission to speak, waiting for permission to create, to even be ourselves. I know that many of you have felt that. We've got this, where you've got this something inside of you, this message, this dream, a skill, but before you move on it, you're waiting for someone to say, you're ready. But here's the truth. You don't need permission to be who you already are. I've learned that people that make the biggest impact in this world, they're not the ones who wait for approval. They're the ones who act out of conviction, and out of that conviction, we get their truth. And that's what I want to talk about today. How to stop waiting for permission and start living with purpose. So let's start right there. I'm encouraging you today to be yourself without apology. For so much of my life, I guess I played it safe. I tried to fit in with the crowd. I wanted to make sure that I didn't offend anybody, that I didn't step out of line. But here's what I realized. Every time you ask for someone else's permission to be yourself, you've given up self-control over your own identity. There's freedom in being who you truly are, not who people expect you to be. Now, when I talk about these things, I get some people that'll say, well, Stephen, it's easier said than done. And guys, I'm telling you, maybe you're right. But let me ask you this. What is holding you back because you're afraid of what someone else may think? Maybe it's your own voice. Guys, I'm telling you that during this podcast journey, I'm still trying to get used to hearing my own voice. Or maybe it's an idea that you've had for years that you haven't acted upon. When I was in my 20s in the military, there's a couple of ideas that I had, but I didn't pursue them. And here 30 years later, they're on the market, but I'm telling you, my name is nowhere attached. Or maybe it's just being real about what you believe. Guys, the truth is, being authentic will always outlast someone else's self-approval. And the world is not looking for a copy. It's looking for your original. And here's the second thing. When it comes to leadership, you already have permission to lead. Leadership doesn't start with a title. It starts with influence. It starts with showing up. It starts with, how do you treat people when no one's watching? And you don't have to be a manager, supervisor, director, VP, because you don't have to have those titles to make an impact where you are. If you're the one who stands in and lifts others up, if you're the one who brings calm and chaos, who encourages people to be their best, let me say congratulations, you're already leading. There's something powerful about realizing just this. Your position doesn't give you permission. It's your purpose that does. When I was at American Airlines, I'm telling you, I remember some young crew chiefs who led the floor better than many of the supervisors. And it's not because they had the title, but because people trusted them. Something really interesting happened to me. I call it my growth spurt. And we were introducing the new chief people officer, and all this talk from the front was about how we needed to take care of the people. We needed to take care of the people. We need to take care of the people. But I'm telling you, I knew a lot of people who were dealing with their own issues, and I was waiting for someone to say, and take care of yourself. But it never happened. I waited and spoke to one of the VPs after, and he said, Stephen, what's wrong with you? I didn't get it. He said, Stephen, you're an HR business partner. Why didn't you say something? And I thought, wow, he's right. I could have said something. So I'm telling you, if you're waiting for the corner office or some official nameplate before you speak up, don't. Walk into the room like you belong in the room, because you do. The next kind of permission I think is important is that we wait for permission to be a parent, to be a father, to be a daddy, to be a mentor to our children. No one gives you a manual for that. You have children, you wake up one day and you realize that someone's looking up to you. And trust me, they're learning. and they're watching you. And that's the thing. It's your example that's given someone else permission to grow. So what are you showing them? You know, when my kids were little, I didn't always have the answers, the perfect answers, but I did the best that I could. I showed up. Did I miss the mark? Often. Absolutely. I remember taking my kids when they were adults, to Cancun. My youngest daughter was celebrating her 30th birthday. And I remember sitting there in that Airbnb in the evenings, listening to them talk about the things that went right and the things that went wrong and the things that I could have done better. I'm telling you, after we got back, I started working on the things that I learned from them to do better. Because when you learn better, guys, it's okay to do better, to make those deposits late. I didn't ask for permission. It was my awareness that gave me permission to do my best as a father. Guys, that was 7 years ago. And I believe that I'm a better father because of it. If you're a parent, a grandparent, a mentor, or just someone who others confide in, hear me, hear me. Guys, you don't need permission to love, to guide, to be present. You just need to be there. You know, and there's one more big one, this permission to start. How many times have we said, you know, I'll do this when I'm ready, or I'll do it when things settle down, or I'll do it when I learn a little bit more? Guys, both you and I know that there's no such thing as perfect timing. It just doesn't exist. You know, when I started podcasting, I wasn't ready. My voice cracked, my sound wasn't great, and I'm still working on my delivery. I'm still working on it. But if I hadn't started back then, I wouldn't be talking to you now. You know, sometimes the only way to get ready is to start anyway. There's somebody listening. Yes, there's somebody listening to me right now who's got a book idea, a business plan, a ministry, a passion project just sitting on the shelf because you're waiting for someone to give you permission. Stop waiting. Start moving. You don't need the world's approval to take the first step. Remember, you don't grow by waiting. You grow by working. I want to leave you with this last thought. Guys, shift your mindset from approval to assignment. If your purpose is a gift and it comes from God, stop waiting for a person to validate it. No person has the right to validate your gift, and no person can cancel your gift, right? You're not here to get likes, to get titles, or to get applause. Guys, you're here to make a difference, and you're making a difference in the space that God gave you to work it in. And when you start walking, I'm telling you, something powerful happens. The need for validation fades away. You stop comparing yourself to others and you start focusing on who you're becoming at that time. So let's bring it home. Stop waiting for permission to be yourself. Be yourself without apology. Lead without a title. Love without hesitation. Start before you're ready. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs you. You don't need permission to be great. You just need to have the courage to begin. So whatever you're going through and wherever you are on this journey, God, stop putting things off. Take one step today, because when you stop waiting for permission, you start living on purpose. Hey, thanks. Thanks for listening to the Leader Roots podcast today. And if this message has resonated with you, guys, share it with a friend. You know, leave a comment or just tag me online. And remember, better leaders lead better. And until next time, I'm Stephen Smallwood. Stay rooted, stay real, and stay growing. And we'll talk to you and see you on the next episode.